Hi, you bastards. So, I finally tested out my great kilt and I'm going to say I'm in love with this. This is one of the best survival tools that I and you will probably will have. It's multifunctional, it's durable, it's comfortable, and yeah, it's going to be a long video about all of the purposes. And if I'm saying all of the purposes, I'm going to show you something. If you see all these materials, the great kilt can be used as any of these pieces. It can be used as a sleeping bag, can be used as a tarp, can be used as a makeshift shelter like my sleeping bag tent. It can be used as a raincoat or a coat to keep you warm. It can be used as a to sit somewhere dry and keep you off the ground. It can be used as camouflage. It can be used as a foam pad. It can be used as a blanket. It can be used as a rain poncho. All of these materials can actually, if you do it right, of course, can be used in this kind of manner. And actually, there's also one thing that it can also do. It can also be, I forget to put this in, it can also be used as a bag, bag for on you to put on your, as a backpack to say. So that's also something that you can, and this can be used as those. If you do not believe me, watch this video and I will hope to convince you that it's like this. So the great kilt, why the great kilt, you would wonder? Well, I've been hiking in Scotland, and I'm a person who as a prepper, I'm always looking at other cultures and history of other cultures to see how did people survive in those times with those limited resources and materials, in those conditions or those weathers or those cultural backgrounds. How did they survive? And in Scotland, this was the way to travel over the Scottish Highlands. And yeah, I can assure you, they know why they did it. And I'm going to talk about this all in the video. And if you're wondering how you put this on, it's going to be in this video later on. I will tell you how you put the kilt on, how you make the flaps, how you put it around you, how you can implement all the uses that I told you. And the great kilt, first of all, I want to tell you, a great kilt is actually just a woolen blanket of 5 meters long and 1.5 meters wide. That's big. It does not even fit in my garage, but it's going to be very useful if you implement it like the Scottish people did. And next important thing, if you're going to get a great kilt, is let it be made out of wool. Only wool. If you not any other material like cotton or something cheaper. No, it must be wool, because wool is one of the greatest materials. It can retain 80% of its heat even when it's soaking wet. So it's great even when you're getting wet. The material does not burn easily, so you can sit by a campfire, even fall on a campfire, and it will still be usable and will not get holes when one of those glitters from the campfire fall. They get drafted by the wind and fall onto your clothing. Like modern materials, they will get burnt holes immediately. This not. And yeah, I'm going to start off with this video by show you how you first put on the great kilt, and then I will show you all the survival uses that it can be used from point to point. So it's going to be a long video. So for all you people who are for all of you TikTok people who have no more attention span than 18 seconds, I'm sorry, this will be not a video for you. But for all the people who want to learn on how to use this, it's going to be a great ride. So as you perhaps can see, I spread out the great kilt. Yeah, I know it's a little bit difficult in my garage because it's 5 meters long, so that's very long. So but if you're doing this in the outdoors, you have plenty of room to do this. Plus, what I do now is I folded a few sides. The one side a little bit more so it can fit in my garage, so I have a nice flat surface. But you do not really have to be that orderly or precise. You can do it very quickly or a little bit hasty. It will not make that much difference, but I do this more to to show you how it should be done on a proper way, so it look more nice and it's well done. But you can do this a little bit more quicker and less precise than what I'm going to show you here. There's also a method where you can do this standing up, but that's for another video because I'm not really that profound in doing this standing up. So that I prefer the method of lying down. So I will show you. What you do is you first you take your knees to the side, and that's kind of the distance that you will take that will get over your legs. So from that distance you will start to do the folds. What you do then is you take a little bit in the middle, a fold, you pull it back a little bit, then you can take the sides and you can start to make a fold and make it a little bit more nice. Now you have one fold, and what you actually want to do now is you keep doing these folds. You can choose the distance, the distance of the folds. You can, if you are in a hurry, you can do bigger folds, but I usually take the distance of one hand. I pull it up, pull it back, and I do it half over the previous fold, so it creates a thick layer on the places where the folds will be. Yeah, this will take a little bit time and practice, but yeah, it's like I said before, it does not have to be that precise, but it just looks a little bit nicer for if you're going to wear it, if you have that Scottish pride. So yeah, I will be a little bit busy with this, so I will probably cut the video from this point because yeah, or I can do this and I will start to, how do you say this, speed up the video perhaps, or perhaps you can go to the toilet or something. Actually, I'm doing this much more quicker than I normally do, so perhaps I can even leave this in the video. And don't worry if one of the folds starts to get a little bit offside, because it does not really make that much difference, because you're going to use this for multiple purposes, so it's not really that big of a problem. And actually we're almost there actually. Yeah, that is the fold that I was talking about. Like I said, it's a really long piece of wool. But while we're talking about this is also a little exercise for preppers in a way. The exercise of maintaining a form of dignity, a form of pride, a form of discipline and patience, so to say. So I'm going to do this a little bit more quicker. I'm going to take some bigger folds now. And if you're doing this in the outdoors, it's natural that the great kilt will be get a little bit dirty, get some leaves on, get some pieces of ground on, but yeah, you can easily wash this off. And yeah, it's made out of wool, so yeah, you will not. It's not really a use if you're going to stay clean all the time, because yeah, it's nature, it's bushcraft. You will get dirty if you're going hiking and you do not get dirty. That's, in my opinion, you're either very carefully or you ain't doing any not really bushcraft, but you do not do the dirty work that is needed to survive for a long-term survival situation, because you will get dirty. And we're almost there actually. So just a few more folds. Yeah, it's perhaps not the best one, but yeah, there we go. So, as you can see, the folds are now all inside of the kilt. And actually, now we're at this point. Why are the folds important? The folds are important because if you're going to sit by a campfire, sitting, resting, sleeping on a cold ground or wet ground, this will be a layer of protecting against moist and conductive cold of the ground that will pull heat from beneath you. So this is actually sort of a foam pad built in your kilt. So what you want to do now is you take your belt. First, you push the straight part against the folds. You do the same thing to this. Push it against till you reach the folds. You take a belt. Are you seeing which direction you're going to do? My feet are going that way, so that because this is a little bit tricky if you're going to do this outdoors, but you take the belt and you go beneath the folds to the other side. You will have to be a little bit careful because, like I said, the folds can get out of shape. So, but with a little bit practice, you can just do this easily. So now my belt is is out of the other part of the fold. Oh. As you perhaps can see, there is the other part of the belt. What you do now is, it is a little bit difficult to film. I will put this a little bit on the side of my leg. Now you're going to sit on the folds, and the underside of the kilt must be just below the knees. And this is very important because if you go lower, you have less. You will later have less of the great kilt to put over you as a sort of traveling mantle. So I'm going just below the knees. What you do next is you go to the corner of the straight bit and you put it over your legs like this. Then you take the other corner and you go over your legs like this, and that will be the front of your kilt. And now you take the belt, I'm going to lay down for this, and you're going to put it beneath the something like 5 centimeters beneath of it, and you're going to do it really tight because you do not want to get it loose. And something bad happened because, yep, I took the wrong part of the belt. Make it really tight. Oh. There we go. I'm going to put this somewhere here. So, as you can see now, it's not really that high enough. So, as you can see now the kilt is ready for use actually. I'm going to another location to show this because here it's a little bit dark, but this is how you fold the kilt, open the kilt, fold the kilt, and actually take it, put it on, and now you're ready to do all your task that you have to do or travel with the kilt. So you will see this by the power of editing. You will see now me in another location. So as you can see, this is how the kilt is going to be. I know it looks like a little bit, but it's a versatile way to carry this. So imagine if it's summer, it's really hot, you do not want the kilt above you, so you can just let it loose like that. And yeah, that's a little bit place that you can put beneath it. I know I'm wearing pants with a kilt. Everybody say you have to wear a kilt without anything underneath it, but for survival I would advise to wear some pants because you're going to use this also as a shelter and a sleeping bag. And yeah, having a pants then is something really handy. So there are several ways you can just travel, do some travel with this. One of the things is just the method by putting it in the back. You take these sides, the corners, and you shove it in the back sides like this, and that way you are more agile. Yeah, you can see the flaps around here. Then you are more agile to do some tasks like picking stuff up, chopping wood, jumping over obstacles or climbing, and that way you're less impaired by the backside that could be have a little bit more material flopping around. So that's one of the ways that you can do. Or if it's not that warm, you can use the next method, and it is probably the method that you mostly see how the Scots wore this in the old times. You take one of the sides, you bring the back side around your shoulder, and you take the other side in the front of you, do the same shoulder, and usually you have one of those pins that you can put through, but I would not suggest to do that, because after so many times that you put the pin through the woolen material, it will start to get holes, it will start to weaken, and there is a chance that it will tear. So this thing should be passed on by generations. So yeah, I would always prefer put some leather material around it, or just improvise with some rope. You put it on the both sides, and that way put it through, connect them, make a little knot. I did a boo boo. To the round. Make a little knot. Want to be more secure. So that way now you can wear this like this. Yeah. So you can even wear your backpack around you while you're traveling, and you will have some. Of course, you will not go in a t-shirt if it's colder. So you can wear a vest. You can wear a woolen sweater beneath it. So that way you can keep your arms warm. But I've tested this out a little bit. So what you can do is you can widen this material that goes around your shoulder, and that's an extra protective layer against the wind. And I can assure you, together with this and with the double material around your shoulders, and if you wear something just like how do you say this, or a sweater or a vest or a jacket around your arms, I can assure you, you will get warm very quickly if you walk a mile with this. Sometimes you can. That's also the reason why it's around the shoulder, because sometimes it gets so warm that you just need some place to cool it a little bit off, because this wool material gets really warm at really fast. So as you can see, this is the way you can wear it while you're traveling. It's even small enough to put a regular size bug out bag on you. Even one of my Kajik hiking bags I can put on and travel. Oh, you know what? I will show you actually. So the next point is another thing that you can do this with this. If it's getting very cold, then you can use this as a traveling coat, like you see in Lord of the Rings and those other medieval kind of films. You take the back sides again, and you put them around your head like this. And now it's actually multi-purpose. It can be used for several purposes. So when it starts to rain, you can put it around you, and because wool keeps you warm even when it gets wet. And if your material of the wool, you can make it a kind of rainproof a little bit by spraying some anti-rain sprays on top of it. Or when the wool is kind of fresh, to say, it still has some oils inside of it, because of the, how do you say this, it's a certain oil that sheep excrete. It's still in the material, and it's the rain will fall off most of the times. So yeah, that's something that you can do. So it's like a raincoat if you're traveling, hiking, or on a bug out. And also when it's very cold, like in the winter, you can just keep yourself warm. Like I said before, usually you do not do this in t-shirt. You wear a woolen vest, a coat, or something else that you normally wear during your bug outs or hiking. But this is an extra layer that will protect you from wind that can that can take your body temperature lower, or you can or the, how do you say this, the rain. And yeah, just a very nice warm coat again to keep you warm and to keep you dry. So that's another point that you can do this. If you're wondering why if you have always have to keep this together for warmth, yes. If it's just for the rain, there is a possibility that you just like in the, how do you say this, like in Lord of the Rings, you see people wear this like a coat. You can have a pin, put it through here, and then you have actually like a poncho that you can put over your head, and then you have your hands free. I do not going to put this pin through because yeah, I do not want this to get holes inside of it. So, but it's possible to do this in a way. So yeah, it's like a medieval cloak that you to say. So that's another thing that you can use with the kilt, the great kilt. So we're going to the next point. So that is the next point. It can also be used as actually a traveling bag while you're on the run. So you can be very lightweight when you're going to travel. What am I talking about? If you perhaps can see, the same way that you put you take some extra flaps to the back, put it together, and do it just the same way that I showed you on how to do it around your shoulder. Then, if you do it correctly, you have actually a backpack, and it's because the belt keeps the underside tight, closed, and this runs over your whole body. I know it's an open back, but still, I have my ultralight bug-out bag, everything that was inside of it from the last video, and yeah, it can still fit, it can still stay inside. I'm going to show you what's all inside of it. So if you need something quick to grab, like to say, I need to drink something, you have your metal water bottle, all with it. Oh, I need my first aid kit. You take your first aid kit. Oh, I'm going to need my ultralight bug-out bag. Then you have your ultralight bug-out bag. Oh, it's raining very hard, or I need something to sit on. My poncho. And yeah, that was the contents of my ultralight bug-out bag, and it was all inside of this compartment that you can use as a carry bag. And this is actually how they traveled in the old times in Scotland over the Highlands in this kind of manner, because they had to travel light because of the wild terrain. They had not really had backpacks, and that's the way that they used it, and that's also why it's very multifunctional. And now we're going to the next point. So if you can see, even when I'm wearing the kilt, have it around my shoulder, I can even then it can still fit around you, around your body with the bag. And actually, if you do it right, it's actually a kind of nicer when you strap it around your thighs and around your hips, so the weight is still distributed on top of the belt and the material. So it's not that really a problem with the friction and the way you put it around your waist. So actually I found it rather nice to wear it like this, and you can save a whole lot of space in your bug-out bag, because you do not need a tent, a sleeping bag, and all the other things that I'm going to tell in this video. So yeah, for traveling, this is actually very, very nice actually. So let's go to the next point. So I probably said earlier in the video that this can be used as camouflage. There is a reason for this, and this is also a reason why I said take this in neutral materials. In Scotland, they usually had a certain pattern or color depending on the surroundings and the forest that or the environment that they had. So yeah, the thing that you can use it is just like I said before, like you can use it as a cloak. And imagine if you, the thing of camouflage is, if you're going to use camouflage, it must break the contours of a, oh, I must sneeze. Ah, no. You must break the contours of the human form. So if you walk around, you see arms ahead, and a human mind is actually trained and built to recognize patterns of other humans. So that's why you always hear that people say, I see Jesus in a piece of toast or a burnt toast, or I see a certain figure in the clouds. That's the reason why. So you can break those contours of your body by just like this. Yeah, like if you see this from far away, you will not immediately suspect that it's a human form, especially if you're very low, crowded in wildlife surroundings. So imagine if you're in long grass or between trees or something. In this kind of colors, you will not really see that person really away, and you can still observe the people that you're trying to evade. So yeah, you can use this during a bug out, like as an evasion tool to travel without really being seen if you're going to a forest area. And even if you're going on roads, it's harder to spot a person without the contours of a human, or they will think that it's something else. So if you go, it's also handy for if you're going to hunt. So what they did in Scotland usually was, if they're going to hunt, they will usually hunt on small game like rabbits or perhaps some deer. So they would wait somewhere close to the water or some other sources where they knew that the deer would come close. And if you perhaps can see, you can see my arms, but if I would wear gloves like I would normally with my how do you say this, with my longbow, or if I wear clothing beneath like a jacket or a sweater, then it will be even harder to spot. So imagine that that the color of my arms are just the same as my clothing, or something darker or a neutral color. You can just lie in wait, and the moment you see some game passing, you can start to take aim and shoot them, ambush them. And that's the way that Scottish hunters and poachers usually did it. The same thing goes, actually the same with a rifle, for example. It's just basic sniper training actually. So if you're going to wait somewhere, wait for game, and that way you can take aim without really being seen, or yeah, you get the gist of it if you just follow basic sniper training or basic camouflage. Many people will say, but that's cumbersome, but actually it's not really that cumbersome, because the moment that you're ready to strike or to get away, like you see a convoy that you try to, when you're walking in the forest, you see a convoy that you try to, or people that you try to evade, you just take low, put it on, break your contours, match the colors with shadows and the surrounding, and that way you can wait, observe them without really being seen, and the moment you think you're clear to get away, you can just get out, and yeah, that way, yeah, like I said before, you can move really quickly and swiftly without really, like, if you have one of these things, this could be a little bit cumbersome in some ways, in my opinion. So yeah, and this is extra weight, so that's the reason why I like this. It's more multifunctional, that you do not need to put extra camouflage inside of your bug out bag. So we're going to the next point. So another point I want to make is, if you're going to sit by a campfire, this is actually kind of ideal actually. Like I said before, you can just take the flaps and put it around you, and the heat that comes from the campfire reflects from within the cloak and gets kept inside of the cloak, like I said before. But I said before, and I'm going to make this point again, the reason why you have all these flaps, why they are important, why you put so much work inside of it, is because they form almost 4 to triple layer of extra insulation. If you're going to sit by a campfire, you sit, and because of the material that is a little bit waterproof, you sit a little bit dry, you sit off the dirt, you sit off the ground. that could pull heat from your body, and that's why you need the flaps, all those flaps on the backside. That's why they are intended. And another thing is, if you sit by a campfire, and yeah, like I said, you have the cloak, the heat radiates from the inside of the cloak back to your neck. The skirt, no, I'm sorry, the skirt, the kilt. If you open this, the heat will get inside of this, and that's why also why you need pants, in my opinion. And another benefit about the kilt is, in contrary to modern materials like you see in any camping shop, those are good materials. But the moment you get a glimmer, how do you say this? You know, all those sparks that sometimes fly away from a campfire. If they get on that kind of material, they will just burn, even if it's a small one, burn a hole inside of your coat. So you cannot sit too close to the campfire. But with a kilt that is made out of wool, that can land on top of it, you can even take something flaming, put it on this, and it will just start to burn a little bit, but it will not burn away. And that's also a benefit, that you can sit closer to a campfire, have more heat of it, without the risk of your clothing burning inside of within it, burning the material. And that's why it's also so durable if you're going to travel, and you can even give this through generations in the point. So at first sight, you would say it's all that cumbersome, but for all the multiple purposes that you can do this and the benefits, it's actually worth the time and effort that you put in creating the kilt like it is. We're going to the next point. So if you're going to be sleeping or seeking shelter in a existing shelter, like an abandoned building, or in a metro station, or somewhere else like a shed, or in a forest, a place where you do not have to be concerned about rain, this could be used as a very thick sleeping bag in case it's very cold. So what you first do is you take your body length, spread it out a little bit, and then you fold it in the width like I did here. So now it's a double layered insulation from the ground. You take the top side and you fold it together like this. I will show you in a minute why. And you're going to lay down in it. So yeah, it's a little bit compact for some people taste, but you can take as much material from the legs as you need. So now I have one layer of wool, but you can create a second layer by taking it as close to you as possible. And the second material, you go back to your feet actually. And what you also can do is you take the sides. If you have any sides, you can fold it up to yet again. Now I have a triple layer over my legs. You take the other side, but that's something that is connected with the folded side, so you can shove it a little bit under your legs. So now I have triple layers of wool, and yeah, now my body is triple covered, and because you double covered the sides of this, you can just put it around your head as a double layered head warmer. But I would suggest to wear a balaclava at least, and wear your regular clothing also. And if your clothing is wet, the benefit is, and this is something that I can testify, when I was camping when I was hiking and there was the problems with the floods, our campsite was flooded, everything was wet, my clothing was wet. So in the night I slept in a woolen blanket, and the thing was, because wool still remains 80% of its heat even when it's soaking wet, it kept me warm through the night, and it even in a way dried my clothes, because my clothes, my wet clothes were the wool took the took the wet and the dampness from my clothes, and it evaporated outside, so my clothes could dry while I was sleeping and still remaining warm that way. So that way you can sleep in a shelter or an abandoned building, protected from the ground, from the cold for in isolation and induction. And I have triple layers of wool to keep me warm, and I can assure you it can be very warm. And if you wear extra clothing, your regular clothing, it's really, really good warm, even in colder situations. So that's something also advantage of the woolen blanket. And if you think, oh, there is some danger over here, I need to get away. So if you have a regular sleeping bag or something else that you would normally use, that could be a little bit cumbersome to carry. So this is just put it together, grab your bag, and you're out of there before the person like perhaps police, the owner of the property of the building, perhaps robbers or marauders, people with bad intentions. You're gone. You have everything with you: your shelter, your sleeping bag, your foam bed in one, and you skedaddle with this in your left hand and your bug out bag in the other hand, and you're gone. So yeah, this was my video on. I don't know. I'm going to leave I forgot something. So we're going to the next part. So I know this does not look like much. It's very, very poorly made, because there are several reasons why I had to make the shelter inside and not outside, because if you're wondering. Because if I'm doing this outside, the problem is the wind, the sound, you will not be able to hear me. The second, positioning of the cell phone, somewhere it always falls beneath, and even with the wind and the movement of the trees. Third, there are always nosy people. If I'm going to do this for a test in my neighborhood, people will start wondering what the fuck is he doing, and they will call the police on me. Yeah, they actually do that if they see somebody does something strange and suspicious like this. So this is the reason why this is so poorly made, because I have to do it inside, and believe me, inside it's actually kind of more difficult than you're doing on the outside. But this is just a basic concept of a shelter. And like I said, because wool is usually a little bit water repellent, and it's, like I said, multifunctional. It's just very simple. It's just a cord. You put one side of the great kilt around it, and you tie it with knots together. You do not have to puncture the materials to get a hole. What I do is I take a corner, I put a rock in it, I close it off, and around that I will put the rope, and I will start to bind it together, so I have a makeshift shelter. The back side, it should be, because I have so a little room in here, should be a little bit more on tilted, and that way you put some rocks together, so you have something that the rain will get off. You have a roof over your head, and that's the beauty of the great kilt is the next part. You just put it on the ground as an insulator from the cold ground, and also as an improvised sleeping bag. So as you can see, what you also should do, what the Scotsmen did, is they took branches, twigs with plant material on it, and they made a bed, so they have an extra layer of insulation when they're going to sleep inside of this on the cold ground, so they will not get cold during the night by using this. So it's just very simple. You take the other side, put it on top of it. You can take this part and put it around you. And you can use this as an extra patch of to put your head on to protect you from the cold. And that way you now have an improvised shelter with the bonus of a sleeping bag. And of course, I would advise you can if because of the length, you can choose to take a double layer of wool to protect you even more from the cold, or you can make an improvised bed or out of materials that you find in your surroundings, like newspapers, branches, or anything other that can lift you up from the cold wet ground. So yeah. And I would also advise to, if you're going to do sleeping like this in colder circumstances, sleep in your clothing. Like if you have a sweater jacket, woolen sweater, your boots, your pants, carry them. And that's also the reason why I said if you're going to wear the great kilt and you're going to do it for survival, wear pants, because you use this, you will be more exposed if you do not wear any pants. Yeah, I know it's not really the Scottish way, like they would say, but it's better than freezing to death. So yeah, like I said before, it is a great way to sleep in the Scottish Highlands, or in a forest area if you're in need of a quick shelter for sleeping or for protecting against the rain or something. So yeah, this is also the reason why the great kilt is so much material. But because it's so much material, like I said before, it can be used for so many things, and yeah, it's also better than nothing. And it's actually surprisingly, it surprised me actually how much you can do with the same thing actually for multifunctional purposes. So now we're going to do the next point. So another thing that you actually can use the great kilt for, and it is more when it gets wet actually. I know it will get heavier, but I'll try to see a plus. Try to make things. It's kind of a mental exercise to, if you have a bad situation, try to make a good situation of. So if this is wet by rain or damp, that means that the water that gets inside of the kilt, and it will get heavier to wear, but you can also see it as a way of getting fresh water. So if you're just walking and you get damp by snow, rain, dampness, mist or something, which is common in the Scottish Highlands, and you make a halt, you need water, you can just rinse it out and you have fresh water that has not been in contact with the ground or something else that could make it hazardous or put how do you say this, pathogens on top of it. Of course, you do not. This counts only if you do not roll into the ground like a pig in the mud. So yeah, that's another benefit that you could do, but I have not found references of in the Scottish Highlands, and that's probably because they had other ways to gain water. But in areas where there is perhaps less water sources, then this could be a way to get fresh water, even with wearing this or carrying this kilt, great kilt. So yeah, that's another point. So that was everything that of the survival uses that I'm aware of the great kilt, that I tested out and seen for myself, and I must say I'm happy with this. I'm a big fan of wool. This is probably one of the best survival tools you could have. I know it's big, it's not that really that heavy, but it can take a little bit of volume. It takes a little bit of skill and knowledge to use it properly, but all those downsides are way overshadowed by all the benefits and the multifunctionality that you get from this. So I would advise, get a great kilt while you still can. It's so durable. It's in Scottish history, it's usually one plated kilt, great kilt like this would be passed on for generations. So it's that durable. Imagine if you could do that with any other modern materials from the modern camping stores after a prolonged use, because if you know that people in the past could not travel just with buses and trains, they had to do this by walking, and they had to do it a lot. So if you can pass this for generations while even using it all the time, that's the sign of a really good survival tool. So if you have any other experience with great kilts, if you're from Scotland or from other places with that interest, please let me know if you know any other survival use for this. I'm always eager to learn. I'm fascinated by this, and it shows you again, learn from other cultures, learn from other parts of history, and you will gain knowledge. Knowledge is power. So yeah, thank you for watching, subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and thank you for watching, and survive the apocalypse. Cheers!